What's up, folks? Welcome to the video. This is the last section of the video on this Amiga Seamaster Cosmic 2000. Now the movement's complete. It's running very nicely. Got a good amplitude, just under 300. No beat error, and a very nice rate between plus minus 3 or 4 seconds each side. So quite nice. The dial, as you might have seen earlier in the video, was had broken dial feet and had lots of little glue dots on it to keep the dial down. So what I've actually done is there's a little brown plastic dial retainer ring that sits underneath the dial between the dial and the date plate. That's been glued to the dial, so it's in a fixed position, lined up exactly where the dial feet are, and there are 2 dial pins in the movement that have been screwed into place so that that retainer can sit exactly where it's supposed to sit. And then there's a single dial adhesive dot in the center of the watch just to keep the dial in place. Ideally you would solder on some new dial feet, but I don't have the equipment to do soldering and not damage the dial, so rather than risk any damage, we've just gone with that method, and it works quite well. So now the movement's all together, we're just going to put the hands on. I'm going to try and put the hands on with everything in the way. So for that we're going to use this movement holder. I'm just going to check the hands in the right position. And then we put that in this dispersion tool. Don't worry if you don't have this dispersion tool. You can just use normal hand setting tools. Like so. Now we're just going to fit the minute hand. Put that in the tool. Right, just going to check that the hands are all lined up. And they're nice and flat, no interference with the indices and no interference with the dial side. So for the seconds hand, I like to use manual hand press fit, which is this dispersion tool. So just going to line this up out of camera. There we go, we have all the hands fitted. So next section of the video, what I normally do during this procedure is I like to mount the movement inside the case. I set the time, put the crown in, set the time, and I let it run for a couple of days. Or if it's performing really well, I just run it for a day and see how hands keep time in the watch. So we'll move on to that in a little bit. So just before that, I'm going to make sure that this seconds hand is pressed on properly, because before it come off in the watch. So I'm going to put the take this movement out, remove the automatic system, put in the positioning pin in here, and then make sure that that hand's on, and then we'll move on to the case side of the next part. So those of you that might be interested in how this seconds hand is actually set, right in the middle there is the seconds pinion, and you have to access that underneath the automatic bridge, which is already taken off here. And inside these movement holders is this small support. So when you put the movement in here, you then adjust the screw on the bottom until it just touches the movement, or just touches the seconds pinion, and then you can press down on the seconds hand without the pinion moving up and down and getting out of position. And that way it makes sure that the seconds hand is more securely in place and that you don't break anything along the way. So I'm going to put the automatic system back on, and then we're going to put it back inside the inside case, and we're going to leave it there, and then follow on from that we're going to put the new glass in and new case back and close it all up. Right, so this section we're going to fit the movement inside this case ring. This case ring then fits inside the case body, and then we can fit the stem, and that's when we test it for a couple of days when it's in the correct place. Now the reason you don't immediately fit the glass and case back is that if there is something wrong with the movement that needs redoing, or the movement needs regulation again, then it's much easier to work on the module when it's not fully encased than putting the whole thing together and getting it all back out again. Not that it's particularly difficult to get it back out again, but it just saves a bit of time should the need arise for anything to be changed. So that's in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the inside of the case body with a very light coat of Molykote, which is a type of silicone. So just inside here, just going to give it a light coat on the inside. And what this will do is it'll make sure that whenever this watch is coming in or out during a service, that everything can come in and out nice and smoothly. There's only a very, very thin film of Molykote in there. So we're going to line that up with the case tube like so. Make sure that the stem is on the inside position. Then we just gently push that in. I can see it's not quite sat right here, so we can push that back out. Make sure this is in the right place. And it is. So we try again. And then we use something soft like a piece of pegwood to push movement back in place. Made a little bit easier by that grease. Now, when you're pushing the module back in, or the movement back into the module, should I say, you'll find it'll only ever go so far because there's a cut on the inside of the case to stop the movement going any further. So now that looks in position, we're just going to give the crown tube a little bit of a light greasing. This helps stop water getting in and out, and also keeps the crown nice and smooth when you're trying to wind it. So what you need to do now is you need to look inside the case tube and try and match it up and line it up with the crown. I'm not sure if this is going to come up on camera. And you just got to line up the two and then they snap into position. So this one's facing vertical. So you get the crown in, give it a little jig. You can even see through the little gap. You can see there's a little gap there. You can see in the gap there that the stem's going to line up or not. When it's lined up, give it a push in until it clicks. And now the watch can wind up. Now it is winding up, but I can see and feel that reversing wheel inside there is giving it a little bit of resistance, even though it has been lubricated. The reversing wheel on these does need lubrication. I use ETO V106. This says 105, but it's actually 106 in this bottle, which is very thin. This is a very thin lubricant, and you dry it off and it leaves a very fine film of lubricant on the reversers so that they can perform. But it feels like the reverser in this one is particularly not very smooth, so we're going to revisit that, and we can do that with this in situ. So we can just flip it over. You can see the movement in place there. So what we'll do is we'll remove the rotor, we'll take the automatic system out, and we'll have a look at that reverser again, and if possible, if there's something wrong with it, we'll probably replace that reverser with another one until everything's running nice and smooth, because these are quite smooth winding movements, so we shouldn't have any that kind of problem here. Then once everything's running smooth and we've made sure that the hands are keeping time, so we put it to this hand setting position, we see the hand stop. We can set the hands, the time is 3:26. So we can let that run, check the time. So the next part of the video, I'm not going to show you the reversing wheel. That's just going to be something done off camera. The next part of the video, we're going to be putting in the new class and the case back, and we're going to be putting that back together and then putting the bracelet back on, and then it'll be complete. And that'll be the end of the video. But hopefully you've liked the videos so far in this series. There are a couple of other ones on my channel. There's one on the Rolex, and there's quite a few on a Seiko Vogue, which is another popular model. But until then, I'll see you in the next video when we put the glass in. Right, so now we're going to move on to fitting the glass and case back, and finally the bracelet. So the watch has had a new reverser fitted to solve that grinding issue. So the new reverser's in there and it's running nice and smooth. Timekeeping is really good, so plus minus a couple of seconds, really good amplitude, and practically no beat error. So I'm quite happy to close this up now. And we're going to use this type of press, which evenly distributes the pressure so the glass goes down flat. You can use a rack press, which I also have. There's various different presses that you can use for different jobs, but I find this press works quite well for this particular job. So we're just going to make sure there's no dust in the watch face. Careful not to damage the second hand. Make sure there's no dust inside the glass there. So this is just an air pen, which is connected to a compressor. It just blows out air. So we're going to line up the glass on the top, like so. Just a gentle bit of pressure trying to get it into place. Slowly, gently push that glass back in. There we go. There we have it. Nice new glass in there. We've upgraded the normal mineral glass for a sapphire glass, and that should help keep the scratches away for a little while longer. You can see the movement in there. Just going to make sure all the screws are tightened down now that the glass is in position. You don't want a loose screw, since we had to adjust the automatic section. And then we're going to fit the case back. So we've got the Omega up top. That's the Omega up top, like so. Put that in position like so. And then we're just going to swap the dies. So we just swap the dies there. We've got a nice flat gasket. Just need something to protect the sapphire glass from that brass insert. Line that up. Don't need to go ham and absolutely crush the whole thing. If you've greased the rear and front gaskets with a little bit of silicone, they should go in quite smoothly. And there we have it. There's the watch all complete. There is an engraved case back on the back there. And it's all done. So no case work's been done. Keep it all original. So then all we have to do now is fit the bracelet, and that uses two small 10mm spring bars, and should be good to go. So the final fitting of the original bracelet, and whenever you're fitting a bracelet to a watch, the easiest way to remember which way round a bracelet goes is whatever the logo is on the clasp, must be upright with the dial. So if the hippocampus is on a dial like so, it goes like so. So it wouldn't go that way round. It'd always be that way round. If the clasp doesn't have a logo, then whatever side the clasp opens on is the side that goes towards the 6 o'clock position. So it would go here. So we're going to fit some new spring bars. These are actually 8mm, but the total width is approximately 10. They just slide in here. They're a little bit tricky. So you sort of get one in position. Like so. And I need to see this. Not the easiest little darlings to get in. So that's one side in. Now just do the other side. So after arguing for a little bit with the bracelet and a couple of harsh words exchanged, we did finally get the bracelet to go back on. The one thing in watchmaking that I despise more than anything else is spring bars. I absolutely hate them. They always tend to go wherever they want to go, never where I want them to be. But such is life. That's the way things are. I hope you've enjoyed following along with this video series on this Cosmic 2000. And if you're looking to undertake this watch yourself, hopefully these videos will help you do just that. They're far simpler than they seem, but as long as you take your time and you follow the same kind of methods in terms of opening and closing it, you'll be perfectly fine. I've seen some people use compressors and try and compress air in here and blow the glass out and all sorts of things like that, which you can do. It just makes the job much more difficult. So yeah, just as a reminder, if you haven't watched the first video, you can always go back and watch the first video and you'll see how this is uncased. But if you don't want to go back and watch all of that stuff and go through the whole series, simply you just push the movement out from the back, remove the crown, push the stem in, and then use a die to push the movement out through the back and out through the front. And that's it, basically. And then when you're going to put it back together, you put the movement inside, put the glass on, then put the case back on, and sandwich it together. Relatively straightforward. I would advise watching all of the videos in the series so you get the full idea. But that's it for this one. Not sure what the next video will be, but hope you come back to watch that as well. So until then, take care and see you again soon.